Isak, yeah. I think, that guy is going to be one of the best players in the world.
This season, I need to see identity, bro. I need to be able to be like, I can close my eyes and I know how Man United are playing. Just last week, we were celebrating, dancing, and Maguire's finally gone. He's staying.
Yo, it's your boy H Black the Sauce, Harry Pinero. Welcome to the Inside Scoop. Of course, I'm joined with my co-host, my good friend, Culture Cams. We've both covering the hairline today. That means that we ain't got good trims today. Yeah? We ain't got good trims, yeah? If you see what's underneath here, wiggity, wiggity. Ooh, wiggity, wiggity. It's mad.
It's not ready.
But how have you been? How's your weekend been?
Yeah, it was good. Spent my weekend with you, pause. But
pause.
It was, you know what I mean? We were together on... Okay, but I'm starting this.
No, start it all again,
I'm starting this thing crazy.
Mental.
Yeah, but I mean, like, it was good, though. It was good.
Yeah. So what Cams is trying to say is that he accompanied me to Saturday Social, where I represented the Inside Scoop and what it stands for against James Alcott, a good friend of the channel, of course.
Good performance.
Yeah. You know what it is? I was inspired by what you do on a daily basis, and I thought to myself, I'm going to represent the Inside Scoop. I've got to do it properly. We got that W. Look out for the content on my TikTok. I posted it to see what I got up to.
Are we putting it in the video? Are we putting your little, or is it like
no copyright, man? I ain't got that. I can't fight Sky like that.
Rob.
Yeah.
Us, man.
Go on, Rob. Give us a blessing, Rob. But yeah, no, that was good, and I think that was the first the first game week as well. You know, I think the only game that had been played was probably Burnley against Man City. Yeah. Speaking of Burnley against Man City, how did you think that game went for you, for the first judgment of where Man City are without the players that they had last season, like Gundogan, and the players who they've sold?
You know what? Yeah, I feel like the performance was okay. Yeah. You know what I mean? I actually thought Burnley were decent, got on the ball. They looked impressive, actually. You know what I mean? So when you're looking at the teams that got promoted, they definitely look the strongest. And then when you're looking at, you know, the West Hams, Evertons, and these teams that stayed in the Premier League, you look like Burnley can probably give them a problem. But then, listen, they have the Terminator. It's as simple as that. They have the Terminator. 3 minutes in? Okay, Burnley didn't start the greatest, but they grew into the game. But 3 minutes in, Haaland, okay, boom, I'm going to do what I'm going to finish this. I'm going to start the season how I finished it. And he does what he does. And that second goal again, you know, Burnley are trying to get a little bit of momentum. And then, boom, Haaland again out of nowhere. So, listen. When you have a player like Erling Haaland, you always have a chance in it. And that's the difference that Haaland has brought to Man City. As much as people talk about he relies on service, blah, blah, blah. What Haaland does is decide football games. Do you know what I mean? When Man City don't play, even if Man City play bad, if you got Haaland, you've got a chance. Whereas if you have an Arsenal, a Man United, a Liverpool, sometimes if our best player's not popping to the extent that we need him to, we're looking for solutions. But Erling Haaland, bro, like if the team's not playing well, I'll just decide the game for you. So listen, when you have a machine like that, that's why they're gonna probably be either the champions or right there, bro.
Yeah, I think even more so. I think with the fact that you know, Kevin De Bruyne came off really early with an injury.
He's out for 4 months.
He's out for 4 months, which is going to be tough for City. I think this is an indication of where City's strength and depth will start to come into play now, because arguably their best player, the most consistent player over the last 6 years, is now out for 4 months. But what I saw with Rodri, I think Rodri was impeccable in the game.
As always.
Goal and an assist as well. I think with Rico Lewis, done really well as well as a left back as well. And I like the way they play with, it's like an inverted left back where someone comes into midfield. I think that was really, really good for them. And I think Kovacic as well, I think this is what we knew about the signing. I said that this was probably going to be one of the most consistent signings, because he just seemed as if he's been playing there all his life. And I think with Man City as well, they're a team that literally, game by game, they get stronger. Pep's one of those managers that he adapts in games. So I can only imagine now with Kevin De Bruyne out the team, he's already got that in the mind. Okay, cool, I need to adapt.
City, but the thing is, City have won leagues before with Kevin De Bruyne injured
for a long time,
Then at those periods, they had peak Mahrez, they had Gundogan, they had Bernardo at his very best. They still had the options of like Jesus, Raheem Sterling, and stuff like that. I feel like this time, this injury will
biggest
impact
test.
them. Look, I don't want to ever doubt a Pep team. They should still beat most teams, but this time if any time he's going to get injured, it should be most impactful now. Because we've just been saying that City need another midfielder. And for KDB to go down, I think that's crazy. But look, this is where the Phil Fodens has to step up. I was saying Phil Foden has to step up before KDB's injury. Now, there's really no excuse. In that midfield role, I feel like Pep needs to just trust him and see what's going on. Because I keep saying, you look at Man City's team, Kovacic came in, Rodri, it's all nice, it's all beautiful. But KDB and Haaland are the only devastating players, you know what I mean, who are going to like punish you, do you know what I mean? And with KDB going down, for me, there's only Haaland now. The only other player that I think kind of drives beyond and makes things happen potentially is a Phil Foden. So he has a lot of responsibility on his hands now.
In all fairness as well to City, they didn't play incredibly well. I think credit to Burnley, I think they put up a fight. Even when they went 1-0 down quite early in the game, they still looked like they were still trying to implement the way they want to play. And I think with Vincent Kompany, the test that he has this season is, are you going to continue playing the way you've played in the Championship? Because you did try to play that way against City, and obviously you lost to the best team in the world. So it's not, I don't look at that as like a deciding factor. He did say before the game, he was like, look, we're going to get better. It's the worst you're going to see us play, and so on. So I'm excited to see how Burnley play. But I think for the game, I think it was a very easy game for City. They didn't really have to come out of second gear. There wasn't really much chances against them as well. So I think you're right. It's going to be very, very exciting to see how they manage without KDB, but still got 3 goals. Haaland's second goal for me was just a joke, man.
It's a joke, man.
Yeah, look, I have this agenda against Haaland. I think sometimes
you do.
when he doesn't have,
you know, what he says off camera.
People. Yeah, I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it.
Yeah, he says. I told you when you said it last Thursday. I said say that.
No, but my thing is with Haaland, I've always said and even in that game was an indication. Like Haaland won't be on the ball that much. He doesn't affect play that much, but when his chances come, he takes them. So I think for that reason, he's a world-class finisher, and I think he's probably going to be one of the best ever finishers we've seen ever. But
100%.
This is where we start to see how Haaland can alter his play, because if the service isn't there as much as he would like with KDB, or like you said, with Gundogan and how it's been before, it's going to be exciting to see. And I think for me, I just want to see how Haaland can alter his game when maybe there isn't balls running in behind as what Kevin De Bruyne does as well. So that's what I'm excited to see. If Haaland can do that for me, then he goes into that tier of he's ready-made. You've already said this already, because I'm sure you've seen the tweet already. You don't feel like he needs a season to showcase him being the best goal scorer.
Best goal scorer we've.
And what have you seen from Haaland that like has given you that the batteries in your back,
bro,
to say that?
Listen, I know Thierry Henry, unbelievable goal scorer. Harry Kane, he will be up there. Ruud van Nistelrooy, wow. But when I look at Erling Haaland, right, bro, it genuinely feels like he can score a hat-trick a game. Yeah. It's like if he doesn't score a hat-trick, it's because he's done something wrong. Do you know what I mean? It's because, maybe he missed a chance, or he has the most tools, in my opinion, to be able to score. That's why I say he's the best goal scorer. Like, listen, there's going to be guys that are great goal scorers as well. But the reason why I say he's the best is because, look, it's the way and the manner in which he can score. He can score out of nothing. He can score headers. It's his explosion, his devastation. He's a one-man counter-attack. I just feel like no matter where you put the ball in the box, Erling Haaland has the possibility of scoring, bro. We saw against Dortmund, the guy will fly kick it in the air if he needs to. There's always a chance with Haaland, and I just haven't seen that type of gravity towards goal scoring before. Like, it's pure gravity with this guy, man. And I just think, look, as I said, you look at Ruud, who's like my favorite striker or whatever, but he's like Ruud on like steroids, bro. Yeah. He's like him on
he's an unreal player.
Like, honestly, like in terms of just pure, like just goal scoring, I just don't think that we've seen a better striker in the Premier League.
Did you think he was going to get away with that?
What?
Ball in the box. Did you think he was
That's all right.
Did you think he was going to get away with that?
His mind is tapped. His mind is tapped. I thought you were going to say with the explosion. When I say explosion, I was like,
Nah, ball in the box is hey, yo.
But, let me read the Man City stats. Let me read the stats of the game. Shots 17 to Burnley 6. Man City had 8 shots on target. Burnley only had 1. 66 possession. Burnley only had 34. 706 passes. Burnley only had 365. Pass accuracy, 89%. Pass accuracy for Burnley, 79, which is quite good for Burnley. But 89% of your 706 passes, if you're going to be completing that every single game, you're going to win nearly every
I think
match.
that's what scares me about City, is that as long as they've got the ball, that the game's in their hands, and they have the ball quite a lot in games. And I think that is their strong suit. So it allows them to kind of like, you know, find their rhythm in games very quickly in comparison to other teams. And I think this season, we're not going to see City not play the way they usually play. I think they're just going to have to work a bit more harder with the likes of KDB going, the signings that have left already. So I'm excited because I think for me, like you said, it's probably the most difficult it's been for Pep. And we say that every other season and he ends up proving the best.
They got the Super Cup today against Sevilla. You probably expect them to win that.
Yeah.
They should do anyway. So they're looking to get that sextuple, bro.
Yeah, well.
So let's see how that one goes. Speaking of Man City, and if we're about to move on to like the next game, which is Arsenal, and Rio and Vibe with 5 touched on our Yaya Toure, Patrick Vieira debate. So we're gonna put that in there of what Rio Ferdinand said.
Culture Cams and Harry Pinero spoke about this on Inside Scoop. Harry Pinero picked Yaya Toure. Culture Cams picked Patrick Vieira.
As the best in the midfielder ever?
No. It was a head-to-head.
Okay.
I picked Yaya in terms of a player as a whole. Obviously, if you're looking at their Premier League careers, you have to give it to Patrick Vieira. But also no?
If you're saying we'll take his best season over his best season, I think Yaya.
I think he could do everything that Vieira could. Yaya could do everything Vieira could do and add a little bit of spice with goals.
Yeah, I'll go with that.
So for me, like, remember I told you I backtracked a bit because I went to go and watch some of the Vieira clips, but I think that's what it was. What I was trying to explain was it wasn't to say that Vieira is less of a player than Yaya, because we all know that what Vieira was able to do. He's an incredible world-class player, one of the best ever to play the game, However, I'm just speaking about in a Premier League 11 between Arsenal and Man City, I think Yaya's best season, or when he was in his prime in the Premier League, it's hard to say that there was a midfield player that could do what he did. And I think for that reason, that's why I would say Yaya in that team.
That's fair. That's fair. Look, Yaya is amazing, but I just feel like when we often say someone's best season is because we kind of don't think their other seasons were levels with that. I feel like Patrick Vieira had great seasons, multiple great seasons, 100%. But maybe he didn't have that boom like Yaya Toure. But that's why when people say peak, like the best season, it's kind of like for example, if you were to have a debate about John Terry or Van Dijk, right? Both of them, actually, to be fair, let's say Rio and Van Dijk, people would say, oh, but Van Dijk's peak best season is better than Rio's. But the only reason you're going to say that is because maybe his other couple years didn't level up to Rio's median. Do you get where I'm coming from?
Yeah, no, I hear you. So, it's one of those ones that you never really have a correct answer for it. It's more based on your opinion and how to play.
But let's move on. Let's move on.
Shout out to Rio and Steve.
Nah, man. They done. I don't know, man. Y'all don't know ball, man. was Vieira bullying up Rio or something?
Hell no.
I don't know. I think I need to go check the tapes,
Bro, 6 Premier League titles.
I need to go check the tapes.
6 Premier League titles.
You know, in the dugout,
Bro, Rio, Vieira weren't getting there, Rio. Rio was like, oh, go back.
Nah.
Go back. He couldn't even deal with
Vieira.
They
could see each other eye to eye. You know, Vieira.
Rio used to dash his plats at him. Dash his little plats.
Come on, man. Turn up to the big games with beads and that, man.
No, you don't get me.
We don't do that around
here.
Bro,
that's what he did. Cultural impact. Cultural impact. You get me?
Wait, shout out Rio, man. Come on to Football Heritage. You're going to get schooled. Yes, but anyway, let's move on. Arsenal beat Nottingham Forest 2-1. 15 shots to Nottingham Forest's 6. 7 on target to Nottingham Forest's 2. 79% possession. 769 passes. Forest 200 passes. And 90% pass accuracy. Look, now that is just pure dominance. Yeah. But the funny thing is, after a while in the game, it started getting a little bit cagey. like Arsenal were kind of hanging on towards the end. You know what I mean? But Arsenal were dominating, and Forest do look like one of the teams that are probably gonna struggle towards the bottom. But Awoniyi came on and made quite an impact.
Yeah. I think the first 30 minutes of the game, it was just sheer domination by Arsenal. I think the link-up play between Martinelli, Eddie Nketiah, I think Odegaard was incredible. Saka was just explosive as well. So I think what we saw was kind of like continuing on from where they potentially wanted to end their season last season, which was just starting off on the front foot. They played really well. They had control over the game. And I think the Saka goal was an indication of how great he is as a player.
What are you saying about that goal, man?
I think it was, and we watched it. We saw it when it went in live, and I think with Saka, that he's just inevitable off that right hand side. Once he cuts in and has a strike, his finishing has got so much better as well. And to start off the season with a goal, Martinelli, with a fake assist, and Eddie was able. Yeah, it was fake. He didn't mean to do that.
He didn't mean that.
But
man.
Eddie's goal as well was, I think with Eddie as well, he's one of those players that I feel like people want him to do more and more and more, and he proves. I score goals. That's his job, and he does it really, really well. And I think for a quote-unquote second striker, I think Eddie's incredible. I think the problem that Arsenal fans have with Eddie is that maybe he has chances and he doesn't score all of them. But I think with him, he knows what the back of the net is, isn't it? You give him chances, he will score. And that was an indication on the weekend.
I think he deserves a little bit more credit.
Yeah, of course.
I actually don't think Arsenal fans realise what they have in Nketiah. Now, I'm not saying Nketiah is a world beater. But when you're talking about a striker to come in and just do a job while your other striker gets fit or isn't playing at his best, Eddie Nketiah is probably one of the best in the Premier League in terms of I know it might sound like a backhanded compliment, but in terms of a second striker option, he's one of the best in the league, bro.
I think
he comes
even
in
to add to that. Put Nketiah in any of the other top 6 teams. He's starting up front for every other team apart from in the top 6. Outside of the top 6. Outside of the top 6. Outside of the top 6. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm thinking, look, if you're talking about I think he would start for Brighton. I think he'll start for Villa. He'll start for these teams because
Ollie Watkins is good now.
Yeah, but that's not to take away from Ollie Watkins.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that, but he's a great striker, and I think sometimes because Jesus is the big money striker that they've brought in. The fact that he's been taken out of the team because of injuries, Eddie has stepped up.
Yeah, and the thing is that, look, your second striker shouldn't even be so relied on in terms of, they should be looking at it yo, wait, Jesus needs to be, obviously you don't want to get on somebody for being injured, but Jesus is the one that's making Nketiah have to play these games. So when Nketiah is getting all this stick sometimes, I'm like, people, they need to realize, listen, his that deputy is good. You look at Man United last season, we had Weghorst, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If Nico Jackson gets injured tomorrow for Chelsea, who are they putting up front?
True.
Arsenal fans kind of need to realize, and now don't get twisted, there is side of the section of their fans that appreciate Eddie Nketiah, and rightfully so. But I just think sometimes when I see him getting bashed a little bit, pause.
I'm not gonna lie.
Pause.
I'm not gonna lie. You're saying some things that I don't agree with.
But when I see him,
yeah, you done yourself there, pal. You done yourself there, pal.
Back to the game. When I see Eddie Nketiah, you know what I mean, people are getting onto him or whatever, I just think they see it in a lens of, we're trying to win a league.
Yeah.
We need this kind of guy. But they need to remember, he is the second option. And I think for all the other Premier League teams, how many Premier League teams, other than Julian Alvarez, I'll say, how many Premier League teams have a 30-second striker option? There's not many. So I actually think they should give him a little bit more credit.
What do you think of Nottingham Forest, though, with, the way, obviously, Arsenal kind of went a bit flat in the game, and then when the subs came on, Elanga came on, it's the game completely changed. What do you think about Nottingham Forest? Because I have them down to be relegated this season. Did you see anything in that game that you thought, okay, cool, they're going to be all right?
Yeah.
And they have quality in their team.
Yeah, I actually do, I actually do. I think, obviously, they got Morgan Gibbs-White. He didn't have the greatest game at all. But they got Elanga. And now I'm not saying Elanga's a world beater, but he came on and changed the game.
He's got electrifying pace. Yeah.
Exactly. He changed the game when he came on. And look, Taiwo Awoniyi should be starting every game. Yeah. He came on and was bullying. Yeah. Controlling the ball. He was playing against Saliba. He was playing against Ben White, but he was controlling the ball, and then they could build off him. He should be starting every game. So I didn't understand putting Brennan Johnson as the striker. He missed that glorious chance. But I know they were probably thinking, listen, let's go long and so he can run onto it. But no, Awoniyi needs to be starting games. And if they start him, he ended the season, kept them up, by the way. Keep him going, and I think Nottingham Forest will be fine. I think Morgan Gibbs-White, Awoniyi, Ola Anya, who had a very good game against Saka. Let's shout out him. He had a very good game against Saka. I think they've got enough quality. And this is Serge Aurier. They've got a decent team.
I messaged Ola about that. I said, first 3 minutes was probably a bit techie.
He got booked in it.
He got booked early. But after that, I think he really, really showed that he is a Premier League defender. And I think, unfortunately for Fulham going down that season, him going back to Torino is the only reason why he was still playing in the Premier League. But
I think it was incredible.
We know who we got to talk about. There's two players who have been signed by Arsenal.
Yep.
Declan Rice.
Yes.
Now, I think he had a very good start.
Yeah.
I think that's him adjusting to Arsenal and the pressures of what it's like to play for Arsenal in the Premier League. I think he had a very decent performance, kept the ball ticking, and was a good figure to have into that midfield. Do you agree?
I think he had a decent game.
Yeah.
I've seen Declan Rice play better.
Yeah.
I get he recovered the ball pretty well in certain times, but you could still see he's adjusting to this new role.
Yeah.
He's even adjusting to his body positioning off this left-hand side. There's times where he gets the ball and it's him and just the fullback. Now he's thinking, do I take on this fullback? Do I go backwards? Do I go sideways? So he's still learning what it takes to play in that role. Him and Martinelli, I think, still need to kind of build a relationship. Yeah. There was a bit of times where there was a bit of a breakdown there as well, but steady Declan Rice performance, nothing to make any noise about, but nothing to be like, what the hell are you doing on the pitch? Yeah. Kai Havertz.
Whoa! Yeah. That's what I'm waiting for.
Kai Havertz was a little bit like
ghost in the machine.
Very, very ghosty. I'm not gonna lie. When I was looking at Kai Havertz, I was like, where is this guy, bro? Like, where is this guy? And I think him as well is gonna learn. He's having to learn a new role too, because now he's playing. You know, Arteta plays the 3-2-2-2-3 or whatever it is. He's going to have to play in one of those roles behind the striker. So he's having to find out what he's going to do in that team. But one thing that people say about Kai Havertz is that he's a space invader. Like he goes into spaces that other people won't go into. So that might suit him eventually. But right now, there's the difference between space invading and ghosting. You know what I'm trying to say?
I think it was. I've always been very critical of that signing from Chelsea. But you know what? It's the first game of the season, and I think you can't really judge players based off their first game. So I'm not going to be too critical of his performance. I have my agenda against him, which I feel like I don't even know what position he's the best at. And I think for me in that team, I didn't see him contributing anything in that game. But first game of the season, it's at home. Now he understands
0.59 or something like that XG.
Yeah, like it wasn't
their best performance.
But at the end of the day, it's about getting the 3 points, and they got it. So
that's facts. That's fact. Google needs to start putting XG on their things, man. Come on, Google. Come on, Google. The game's moved on now, bruh. You know what I'm saying? But let's talk about the major thing that actually came out of that game. There's two things actually. Yeah. Just to quickly touch on it, very, very quickly. Gabriel didn't start. Yeah. Is that an indication for the rest of the season?
Well, now it's changed because obviously Timber's been injured.
That's the next thing I want to talk about.
But Gabriel, I think with Gabriel, I think he's a few levels behind Saliba. I think with Saliba, it's clear to see when he wasn't in the team, the levels dropped. And I think with maybe Arteta's looked at that and thought, you know what, it's better suited if I don't have him in the team. He's a good centre back to have as a second centre back. I think it's now changed the conversation just because of what's happened with Timber. Timber looks like he's going to be out for quite a while now as well. And Timber, for me, you know, he can play centre back or right back. So now they're going to have to like pick and choose.
Yeah.
They brought on Tomiyasu as soon as he got injured. And it wasn't that to say that they moved Ben White to right back. They said, you know what,
Tomiyasu left back.
Yeah. So yeah, it's tough. It's a situation that I feel like Gabriel's got to work an extra bit harder.
I think Saliba, you know, last season he was like the class to Gabriel's brute kind of thing. But I always looked at Saliba like, you could be that brute. Like, you could be that leader of the backline. You know what I mean? I don't think Saliba is like a John Stones, who's just like the classy and put me alongside a Diaz, or even like a Rio, put me alongside a Vidic. I think Saliba could be that brute, but has that quality on the ball as well. So I think he might be looking at it like, Saliba can be the enforcer and Ben White can be the John Stones, the Rio. You know where I'm coming from? I think that's what, maybe that might be the indication of things to come, but we will see. But that Jurriën Timber injury,
I was devastated about that, man.
For the season, they're saying. First game of the season, Jurriën Timber might be gone for the whole year.
You know what?
That's deep, man.
Like, yeah, as you know, I've put him as the signing of the season for me.
Crazy.
And I felt like because of you saw in the first
jinx.
Yeah, I mean, look, guys, it's not my fault, but I think the first 15, 20 minutes, I think you could see how the way he transitions is so effortless. He glides across the back four. He also can play into midfield. He's a great passer of the ball, and I think Arsenal have signed someone who was going to be the player for them, and unfortunately he's out. And I do hope, just for him and also for the Premier League, that he's able to get back quickly than expected, innit? Because it was an injury that happened out of nowhere, you know. So I think those ones are really the ones that are very dangerous.
When you get in, he banged his knee initially, but then what people are not realizing is that I think it's his right knee that's injured now. But in the first half, he banged his left knee. So everyone's like, oh, it's just impacting a dead leg. But it was actually an unprovoked injury, like, bro. So very, very sad for him. But that's the case. Arsenal win. Arsenal do their thing and they move on though. Anyway, we'll see how they cope with that. The big result, there was a big result this weekend. Newcastle.
5-1.
Yeah, I mean, we just touched on that quickly. Absolutely smashed Villa, who are seen as the winners of the transfer window. Killed them.
Yeah.
Is that a statement?
They killed them, but there was some very, very good moments from Aston Villa in the game. I think that the Diaby goal was an indication of they've got a great player there. I think his pace is absolutely frightening.
Pissed that we didn't sign him.
Yeah, and how he got onto the end of that, you can say, I think that's on his weaker foot as well. Like he's a very, very good player. I think Ollie Watkins as well. We know what he can do. I think for Newcastle, they're just such an aggressive team. And I think over the weekend, I think they looked the most complete out of all of the teams. They looked like, you know, they're just continuing on from last season. Anthony Gordon was incredible. Tonali came on his first day, his debut, scored an incredible goal. Could have even scored 2. And it's Isak, right?
Isak, yeah. I call him Isak.
Isak, yeah. I think, that guy is going to be one of the best players in the world. And the reason why I say that is when you look at what his actual attributes are, he's very fast. He can score, he's skillful, and he knows how to read play as well. He knows how to be in the right places at the right time. And I think for him to score 2 goals on the first game of the season, I think we're going to see that a lot. Indication of how good Newcastle are is that Anthony Gordon came off with an assist, Isak came off with 2 goals, and their replacements both scored, Harvey Barnes and Callum Wilson. That, for me, just shows that it doesn't matter what player is playing in that team. The way the formation and the system is set up is for them to score and attack and press heavily. From defense to attack, they're defending. And they have players who are running athletically. I think the only team that's probably levels with them in terms of strength and actually technical ability is City. And that's an indication. So, yeah, they played incredibly well.
Guys, I hope you're seeing Harry podding, you know.
No, I'm podding. I'm podding.
You are podding there, you know. They be talking about your knowledge, you know.
No, but listen, I'm working, boys. I'm working.
He's in the lab. You guys need to appreciate
when
this.
you're next to Culture Cams, you can't be like, oh, well, I think you get me like.
I was sitting there like a proud. I was like, man, this guy's podding today, bro.
I'm sorry, man. I watched the game proud, man. But yeah, no, I think
I don't even have anything to add to that. You killed that so right much. There. So
thank you.
I fully agree, man. When you got firepower like Callum Wilson, Harvey Barnes, Isak. Bro, Callum Wilson started on the bench, right? Callum Wilson scored 18 Premier League goals last season. 18. Come on, bro.
Yeah,
they've got firepower in this thing now, bro. Newcastle might have been getting written off a little bit too early. Might have been, but we'll see how the season goes. Now, just moving away quickly. So what's meant to be the blockbuster fixture of the not a season, but the opening game was Chelsea v Liverpool. But there's a reason why it was meant to be a blockbuster. Not only because they're Chelsea and Liverpool, but the transfer wars that them man are going through. The fan bases, the CEOs, everything. And it even seemed like Brighton were favouring Liverpool as well. So it's like Chelsea are against the world right now. Yeah. But Chelsea walked away with Caicedo and Lavia. Obviously, Lavia got announced after the game, but Caicedo was looking pretty much done by the time Chelsea and Liverpool played. Firstly, before we get into the game, what the hell are Chelsea cooking, bro?
I think there needs to be an inquest into money, drug, oil. The laundering that's going on over there is insane. But as everyone has been annoyed and against it, I'm here for it. Because we're at a stage right now where, you know, Saudi are getting most of the best players in the world right now, some of them anyway. And I think Chelsea's showing that, you know, the Premier League is still where it needs to be. They're buying crazy players, talented players for mad amounts of money and having them on these could have been record deals, which are like 8 years, 9 years. It's right there. However, when I look at the talent that they're buying, we're looking at Lavia, who we've seen play for Southampton and been incredible. We've always felt like, you know, he was a level above. City, obviously, you know, gave him away because they've got a lot of players, but he's been incredible. Caicedo, we've spoken about him all last season, and watching that midfield against Liverpool, they played incredibly well with Enzo and Gallagher. I think they were top class. But to add Caicedo
in that Gallagher role, I think is going to be so scary. And we've seen, obviously, Nkunku's injured right now, but Jackson is showing. Like, they was offside a lot. So they're still a bit fresh and they're still a bit energetic and they really want to make that run. But once they're able to time those runs into perfection, the one-touch passing that Enzo was doing in that game, for me, he was arguably the best player on the pitch. Not even arguably, he was the best player on the pitch. And I think, for me, I like what Poch is doing because, yes, Salah scored the first goal. Luis Diaz scored the first goal. And then it looked like, okay, cool, this is going to be a routine. And Salah got a goal offside. Then I was like, okay, cool. Then it's like, they just clicked. Yeah. And when they clicked, they didn't stop. And it's like, I'm scared now to how good this team are going to be. Bro, don't sleep on Chelsea, bro. When we did our predictions, right, I said, let's wait until after the window to do revised predictions. Yeah. Remember, I kept saying that. Let's wait until after the window to do revised predictions. And now I'm looking at Chelsea, looking at what they did in the first game. I actually think Chelsea are going to finish in the top 4. And I actually think don't sleep on Chelsea at all, bro. Don't sleep on Chelsea at all. This is a squad that's stacked now with talent. They're talent stacked, And they're playing one game a week. They've got a good manager. They're going to be on the training ground working every single week. They just announced, well, they haven't announced it, but Elise is coming through too. You know what I mean? He's linking up with them too. So Chelsea are absolutely talent stacked, And I don't think it's that hard to make good players gel. Very good players on a wavelength. Caicedo, very good technically, like comfortable in areas. Enzo, comfortable in areas. Lavia, technical and comfortable in areas. Sometimes when you link up with guys that are on your wavelength, it's
automatic,
like this. I mean, you look at a technical level, we're going to click. Do you get where I'm coming from? And I think that's the case with Chelsea. They got Levi Colwill back as well. Reece James had a good game.
Chilwell had a great game.
Chilwell did his thing. So I'm looking at Chelsea, and yes, the question is their firepower, right? Do they have enough goals in their team? But the amount of games that they're going to control, goals are going to come. You got to remember, Manchester United finished 3rd with 58 goals we scored. Okay, Chelsea scored 38 last season, which was a disgrace. But they'll score more goals this season. And listen, Nico Jackson, yes, he's got a lot of responsibility to score goals, but Raheem Sterling, you got to start scoring too. Do you know what I mean? Mudryk, you got to start scoring too. And I just think when you look at this Chelsea team,
it's exciting.
Nobody knows what you're going to get, and a lot of people are hating. But I do think you can't sleep on Chelsea this season.
I think
Spurs, I think it was a pretty...
They're all right, you know.
Bro, Ange. Ange Ball
it was good.
might be going crazy. And this is going to lead me into what I want to talk about with Manchester United later. But, you know, Spurs looked good, in my opinion. Getting a result away to Brentford isn't easy. Yeah. Brentford are actually one of them teams that they feel like more of them old school Blackburns, old school Boltons, where it's like you go to Brighton's ground now. You go to Brentford's ground now, the G-Tech Community Stadium, whatever. It's like going to Ewood Park, Reebok Stadium. Like, you got to dig deep.
You don't know if you're going to win.
You got to fight for those ones, and they don't care. They'll look, possession 30%. They don't care, bro. But they got Wissa, they got Mbuemo.
I like Mbuemo. Mbuemo's a good player.
I like both of them. You know, that's a little two-man hitman up front, but. Honestly, like they're one of them teams that they'll make you battle for it. They'll physically get onto you. But I think Spurs showed a lot of signs of, okay, I understand what you man are going to try and do today. Basuma was playing in the little secret.
What a
bro,
performance.
He looked like Brighton Basuma.
What a performance.
Absolutely balled out of his mind. James Maddison, he looked comfortable. He looked like he's been there 5 years. Got the assist, as we know he can do. Like, he's deadly from them situation. He looked absolutely comfortable. But Richarlison is probably the one. You mentioned it on Saturday Social. He's probably that weak link, in my opinion. I don't know if he's going to score enough goals or do enough for Spurs to get where they need to be. But I'm not going to lie, I was very impressed. And listen, I've said, if anyone has been seeing what I've been saying about Ange, from what I see, the way he plays his football at Celtic, etc., he's exciting. He goes for it. And I like his personality. I always say teams are reflective of their manager.
100%.
And you see how he dealt with this Harry Kane situation. You see how he deals with things. He just, no nonsense. Whatever. Yeah, we were planning for Harry Kane to leave anyway. Come on, guys. It was obvious that it was going to happen. Let's move on. He's just got this personality and this vibe that it just seems like it's going to radiate onto the Spurs players. And I'm worried for next game that we've got against them.
Yeah.
But they looked comfortable. They looked like a different Spurs side when you consider the Nuno, the Conte, the Jose Spurs. this looked like a completely different team. And that's what a manager can do. Udogie came in, looked absolutely comfortable. Mickey van der Ven, he looked brilliant. So Spurs could be a little, I wouldn't say dark horse for a title or anything, but, you know, a lot of people thought if without Harry Kane, it means, hey, they're in the bottom half. No, that's not going to be the case. Spurs are going to still be challenging.
Yeah,
for the
I looked
position.
at some games. I didn't watch them, you know, but you know, you look at these compilations that you see on Twitter and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I've seen the way that they was trying to play from the back during pre-season as well, which is probably something that they haven't done in quite a long time. So I think with Spurs, they've got the less pressure than they've ever had because people expect them to be bad because Harry Kane is gone now. But this is where, you know, some of the players that haven't been maybe in the forefront because of Kane can now start to shine. We've seen Real played really well. Romero, obviously, before he
inverted.
Yeah, like Real obviously had a head injury, and that's why he had to come off. But Son, you know, didn't play his best game, but still, it's like there's less pressure on you because other players are doing really well as well. So I'm excited to see how he implements it. Man United's going to be a tough game for them, but also I feel like they will do well against us because we still don't even know how we're playing at the moment right now. So it will be a good game for them as well. So excited.
But you can see why I said Brentford might be the overachievers.
Nathan Collins, though.
What?
Nathan Collins, though.
He
didn't have the greatest of the games. All right. And listen, this is nothing against him. Okay.
You see
he's young,
guys,
21 years of age.
Agendas already.
But no, don't listen.
You see what I do? My influence.
No,
I'm
listen,
gonna make
bro.
man hate Nathan
No,
Collins,
I'm not.
Watch, bro.
I'm saying this is what I gotta say. When you say that he's gonna be the signing of the season, and you say it with so much vim, there's gonna be a lot of floodlights on his performance. And I'm telling you now, brother, I watched it and every goal that conceded, I was like, where was you, Nathan? Where was you? But hey, it's the first game, so...
Say nothing, man. First game, we'll see how...
I'm a fan of Nathan, by the way.
No.
I'm not convinced yet.
What happened to your signing in the season?
He got injured.
Yeah, there we go, bro.
But you saw his influence. I think his influence over those 32 minutes was better than Nathan.
So let's move on to the one that we've been trying to avoid. You know what I mean, obviously, we were trying to avoid it, but it was Manchester United versus Wolves. Of course, Harry, you were at the game.
Yes.
We're going to drop the best bits of Harry at Old Trafford here.
So we're currently at OT right now. First game of the season, Man United against Wolves. Now, predictions. Avelino, talk to me.
17-0.
17-0 he's gone with. I've gone for a cheeky 3-0. I don't think we'll concede today. I think we'll be very, very composed, and we're going to see the excellence of Man United. But stay tuned.
It's my dad. It's my father. It's him.
Bro.
I said 4-0. Now, the reason why I said 4-0 was because, again, pre-season, not much to look at, but the team looks stronger. They've played with each other enough in enough games, 4 or 5 games. We knew that it was relatively going to be the same team that we started against Lons. But it was just from the first 30 seconds, I knew that this was going to be a very slow starting game. It's like Wolves had every single player behind the ball, and we just didn't know what we needed to do there. Now, the essence of Onana being signed was to allow us to have freedom, less press because the team knows that the keeper can pass. We saw Lisandro Martinez come out of the back four, come into midfield, kind of to join Casemiro. Now, what I expected was Casemiro and Mount to kind of be together in midfield, so he's not as exposed as he was in the game, because I think that was the issue. I think Casemiro was exposed so much, which allowed them to run through our midfield. Like, Semedo played incredible, Neto played incredible. Like, is it Kuna? Kuna played incredible as well. Like, and I think that's the issue that we're going to face this season is that when teams figure out that we want to have an extra man in midfield, they're just going to sit behind and counter us. And the issue that I think we're also going to have is that our end product was non-existent. Now, Anthony and Garnacho probably had their worst starts of a game ever for Man United. Anthony I can count how many times he went outside of his defender. He didn't, they closed off Anthony cutting in on the left, so it's like, what can you do here? But Saka's not an attacking fullback like that, so that run that you would make, the dummy run I call it, was never there. Garnacho had a few
good assist,
and it's not something that you would expect. What I'm trying to say, but he got the assist and Varane got the goal. But even on the left hand side, when the ball was feeding out to Garnacho, I was like, all right, beat your man. This is what we know you can do, and it just wouldn't happen. So I'd say it's the first game of the season. I don't want to read too much into it, but what I will say is that we really need to have that midfield under control, because if we don't, we're going to struggle against better teams. And not to say Wolves ain't a good team, because they played really well with Gary O'Neill only being there for maybe under 2 weeks. But it showed that other teams can read us very quickly if we don't try and alternate the play. Now, Ten Hag, I think, is a great manager, but these are the issues that he's going to face, is that you've bought your players that you want. We still need to do a bit more work in the transfer window. However, with what we have in midfield, it just didn't seem like everybody was on the same page, right?
Not at all.
And that was visible for everyone to see. I don't think Rashford should play up front. I think he's better on the left. This is where Højlund really needs to be part of this team. I think at Martial, we've got to use him up front, or have Sancho, who has been playing there as a false nine, just to see how we can change. Because if we're going to use that same formation against Spurs, I think we'll suffer.
What was before I touch on my part of what I saw, what was the atmosphere like? Because I'm not going to lie, from TV, Old Trafford looked awful.
I think Stretford End, whenever you go Old Trafford, they're always singing. But we kind of was shocked because we were shocked that we're not trying. Like, Wolves,
we looked like we played 30 games.
I'm telling you, Wolves looked fresh. They looked like they had understanding of what they wanted to do. Whereas with us, it was kind of like hope and pray. Yeah. And I think if that can be seen in the first game of the season, I think it's a bit of it's scary, because we're at home. It's not like we're away. We've been fresh this preseason. We've showed in games how we can play. The transitional play was non-existent for me, and I think that was visible throughout the whole stadium. A lot of the fans, you can hear them saying, we look flat, we look tired. Yeah. We're not doing that risky pass. I love risky football. I like cutting lines with passes. I like Lisandro Martinez is in midfield with make that pass. Onana was our best player. Onana was our best player.
And the reason he was our best player is because he was basically having one of them David De Gea games where he's having to save every single shot that we've had. We're not even allowing him to do what we brought him in for. But you're talking about the midfield control and the way we possess the ball, right? A good indication of this, right? I said from Newcastle. So Newcastle made over 500 passes, but it was like 502 passes, right? Brighton made over 600 passes. Man City made over 700 passes. Arsenal made over 700 passes. Tottenham made over 700 passes. These are the teams that you look at and they're like good footballing sides. I think Chelsea made about 600 and something, just under 700. How many do you think Man United made?
300.
Man United made 465 passes, bro. That's not good enough. That's not good enough. I just named the best sides in the Premier League, all reaching 600s to 700s, and we're completing 465 passes with an 82% pass accuracy. That's horrible, bro. Yeah, shocking. That's absolutely horrible. You know what I mean? And that just is exactly what a Manchester United issue is. We don't possess the ball well. We don't keep the ball well at all. So it's like, sometimes I'm looking at it like, look, it's the second season now. Yeah? The second season. First season, a lot of context into Man United season. There was injuries, there was players that shouldn't be at the club, new manager, new whatever. But there's no reason why I should be looking at Ange's Spurs, Chelsea's, Poch's Chelsea, and thinking, why do they look better coached than Man United? Ten Hag's been here for a year. This is the second season, bro. Do you know what I mean? In the second season, I need to see identity, bro. I don't think Man United are going to win the Premier League. That's not my expectation on them. But this season, I need to see an identity of what we're going to do. Yesterday, against Wolves, we looked confused. We looked lost. Mason Mount looked like we just said, hey, you just like we put him from the crowd and told him to get in there. And that is by design, bro. That's the thing. This is two of them, three midfielders are Ten Hag signings. This and the other one, he gave the captain armband. This is by design, bro. So we have to start asking questions. Now, again, I'm not saying sack Ten Hag, none of that stuff. But in the second season, even if you go for Arsenal for an example, first season, Arteta started doing this 3-5-2. He was just kind of making do. Same with us and Ten Hag. But by the end or by the middle of the second season, when Arsenal went on that little run and then they just bottled Champions League, you saw an identity. You saw something that Arteta wanted to do. And in the next season, Arsenal competed for the title, right? In the full seasons I'm talking about. This season, I need to see identity, bro. I need to be able to be like, without my eyes closed, I can close my eyes and I know how Man United are playing. I can do that for Brighton. I can do that for Newcastle. We'll see with this Ange Spurs, Poch's Chelsea, City. You know, peak Klopp teams, you know what you're going to expect. I'm still a year in. I'm like,
how do we play?
Man United? Are we trying to be possession? Yeah. Are we trying to be aggressive? Are we trying to be a PMP team? Are we trying to be a counter team? what are we? It looks like we're trying to be a bunch of everything.
I think it's a weird one because I think like even down to our best players, yeah. You look at Bruno Fernandes. I think Bruno Fernandes is best suited when he is further up the field. The only reason why Bruno drops so much is because our midfield always has a gap in it. So he's having to do way more than what we expect him to do. It's like Odegaard. You never really see Odegaard deep lying because you've got Rice, you've got Partey, there's players there that are able to transition the ball from where they get the ball from the defender or whatever and give him the ball when it's time to create.
And I'm going to be honest, I don't think Man United are going to make another signing this summer, bro. Yeah. We can't move on McTom. We can't move on Maguire. We can't move on Van der Beek. Just last week, we were celebrating, dancing, and Maguire's finally gone. He's staying. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? I can't bother to even touch on his situation, the compensation stuff. But you can't be at home going 51% possession against Wolves. Wolves are one of the favourites to go down. Yeah. We made Mateus Nunes look like Ballack. Yeah. We made Cunha look like Benzema.
Cunha looked like he was just Vieira.
Bro,
driving through our midfield.
Like, honestly, we cannot be having games like this. Arsenal, these type of teams do not have games like that where you're basically going 50-50 for possession and you're basically going 50-50. But they nearly had as many passes as us. This is absolutely crazy, bro. You know what I mean? We're too far in to Ten Hag's cycle for these games to happen. Arsenal, City, Liverpool at their best. They have these games 5 in a season. We're doing this in our first game. And even when they play bad,
they win the game comfortably.
Look, we won from what Varane was even doing there, I have no idea. We won from a random Varane goal. We got lucky. The most shots away from an away team at Old Trafford.
Potentially penalty should have been given, apparently.
Penalty at the end.
Like, for me, I'm not going to...
Invader ran on the pitch and saved us.
He saved us. When I saw him run, he looked like an ack as well. I said, subhanallah. Bro. Like, what a guy. May Allah bless you. I'm in. Like,
when you see the adverts, it's a pact.
Yeah.
I say, it's a pact.
I think he should get man of the match.
Bro.
Because for me, that performance was incredible.
He should be on our next kit launch.
The way he swayed the first steward, done a little steppy, but he got caught in midfield. And that's the problem with United. In midfield, he got caught. What I want to implement for this new season is after every game week, I want us to pick our 5 players that we feel like were the best in the week.
Ooh.
With a keeper, defender, midfield player.
Okay.
And winger and a striker.
Ooh.
So for the goalkeeper, I would say because it's his first appearance, and I feel like
he was excellent.
He saved us. I'd go Andre Onana.
I think Andre Onana. Do you know what I love about Onana? So he absolutely wiped out Dawson's teammate or whoever. He tried to wipe both of them out, which was madness. But it's the way he just got up, carried on, and then you see the next cross in the 97th minute, and he caught it.
Yeah.
I was like, this guy's he's a nutcase, but he's built different, bro. So listen, we weren't catching crosses last season. Let me tell you that. So yeah, I agree. Andre Onana in goal.
So defender.
Defender.
Honourable mention, I'd say to Reece James. I think Reece James played well. So did Chilwell. I think
Varane was good yesterday.
Varane was good,
but I'm not gonna it's not all that we had the worst performance of the season. I think
a Newcastle team. Newcastle did well as well.
I think Mickey van der Ven was good, to be fair.
It's tough because it's not much to go by. Because most of the teams that won kind of dominated by United.
It's a tough one for centre-half. Guys, let us know the centre-half. Let us know the centre-half.
We'll leave that centre-half with you guys.
Let us know.
Midfield, I think it's centre-mid. I think it's easy to say Enzo Fernandez for me.
You think so, yeah?
I think in midfield, he was just... Do you know what it is? It's the fact that his positioning wasn't supposed to be so further forward or so deep, but he was able to just transition. He was one-touch passing, the following of the passes, everything about his play was just like, wow. And like we said, Caicedo is going to be added to that team.
Yeah.
Lavia, Gallagher. What a 4 players you have to pick from.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would go Enzo. Would you agree?
I would agree with your take, but I'm going to actually go with Rodri, yeah? Yeah, just cruise control, goal assist. It was just comfortable.
Let us know in the comments though, guys.
Do you get where I'm coming from?
What you think as well, because we still couldn't find a defender.
Yeah,
I would say if I was going to pick one, I would say Reece James.
Fair enough. And then what's this, winger, midfielder?
Yeah, I'd go Bukayo Saka for me.
Saka?
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie, I think Saka's got a banger, but I think Anya had the better of him.
No, he did.
What do you think?
Lives in the back.
You know what I'm saying?
Hey, don't do that.
Come on, bro.
Winger, but I'm thinking on the wing, who played?
I think...
Actually, do you know what? I don't know if he's classed as a winger, but I think Anthony Gordon, you know.
You reckon?
Yeah, because Anthony Gordon, for me, in the first half of that Newcastle game, was a madman. Like, the pace, the passing, it's someone that is fighting for his place because there's Harvey Barnes there as well. I think he showcased why he's been bought and why he's such a great young talent as well, especially coming from winning the World Cup with England as well under 21. So, yeah, I think I would pick Anthony Gordon personally.
I think a surprise one, but obviously it's against probably the people would say is the worst team in the league, but I think Solly March. I think Solly March is good. Bro, I'm telling you, Solly March and Pascal Gross, yeah? From August to November, they're the best players in the world. From August to November, Solly March and Pascal Gross are the best players in the world, bro. They are on some madness, bro. I'm telling you, but I like how Solly March played. I think Solly March was good. So I'm going to give it Solly March, but you're going with Saka.
No, I'm going to go Anthony Gordon.
Anthony Gordon. Okay, cool. All right, and striker, last position, I guess.
Well, I'm going to go with an arch enemy of Manchester United. Someone that you might wake up in the night and be like, God, he's got that trick. Erling Haaland. Now, I don't think, obviously, it was the greatest performance from Erling Haaland, but what we spoke about earlier in this episode was how clinical he is. And I think those 2 goals set up City's game and gave them confidence. The first goal kind of just made them control the game a bit more. You score off in the first 10 minutes, it's usually you control the rest of the game after that if you're a good team. But the second goal for me was just, it's madness. So I would go with Haaland.
I'm going to go Isak. I'm going to go Isak, man. Like, listen, a destruction of a team that people are trying to put on their level. People are trying to say Villa could be the new Newcastle this year. Absolutely destroyed them, put the league on notice, carried on from what he was doing last season. If he was fit, I think Newcastle drew about 12 to 13 games last season. If he was fit for most of it, some of them draws would have turned to wins. So he's going to show how important he is this season. He might even be in for a shout for Team of the Year this year. Statement weekend. So I'm going to go Alexander Isak.
Well, there you have it, man. So that's a new addition to the season for the Inside Scoop. We're going to add some players, do our little judgment of who plays the best in the week. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please make sure, you have the conversations in the comments. Tell a friend to tell a friend. These are opinions. I've been Harry Pinero. That's been Culture Cams. It's the Inside Scoop. Peace. United!